Hello, dear friends. I'm Michaela. Welcome to my astrology channel, Todayenergy. This video is dedicated to the upcoming new moon in Gemini. Happy birthday still, Gemini, June Geminis. Yeah, it's a great thing to talk about this Gemini new moon, because for me, officially, with this new lunar cycle ends the previous 2 weeks that we were under the influences of the last full moon. That was a total full blood moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio. And before that, 2 weeks before, the 16th of May, on the 30th of April, we had a solar eclipse in Taurus. So overall, this couple of weeks, right? Overall, it's like a month and a half of turmoil, vortex of energies that we called the corridor or the season of eclipses. It happened this spring. It will happen again this autumn. We will live through 2 more eclipses on the axis of Scorpio and Taurus. And of course, my dear friends who have a lot of Scorpionic energy, Taurian energy, also Leos, Aquarius, please do share in the comments below. How did you feel? Anything important happened in your life with these eclipses? I am a Leo rising sign, yeah, ascendant in Leo. So Scorpio is my 4th house, so it's like my foundation. And besides this, I have a stellium in Scorpio. My sun is in Scorpio, so I'm a Scorpio if you ask my zodiac sign. So pretty much for me, I was very sensitive and it wasn't an easy time, very emotional. I was holding on till the last moment, trying to ground myself, doing some meditations, walks in the nature, taking vitamin B, magnesium, other herbs that are very good for calming down the nervous system and so on. Doing some Tai Chi, Taoist female practices, and nevertheless on the 16th during the eclipse itself, like on the day of the eclipse, I had this emotional, I don't know how to call it, breakdown, for example. So it was pretty rough, but this is the good thing. Eclipses is like when you throw a pebble in the water, and of course you have this crystallization of energy around the date of the eclipse, but then the circles go wider and wider and you feel it less and less. And for me personally, kind of the energy of the eclipse reaches out as much like maybe 2 weeks after its date, which means that this new moon in Gemini, which generally Gemini is a rather light energy, very chatty, very flexible. It's about choices, it's about communication, friendships, curiosity, right? So it's mutable, it's intellectual, it's not so like Scorpionic in the guts, in the feelings, or instinctual. So yeah, here our mind will play a key role, and that's very interesting really, because when you check the Sabianic or Sabian symbolism of the very degree in which we will have the new moon, the ninth degree of Gemini, Sabianic symbolism are like metaphorical descriptions of each single degree of those 360 degrees of the zodiac circle. Okay, so this one says an airplane performing a nosedive, which generally speaks that as the flying opposes the gravitational forces, the same way being brave opposes death, or at the very least the fear of death. At the same time, you know, like the airplane can fly despite gravitation of the earth, the same way, through the power of our mind, our thinking, our thoughts, they can overcome the physical obstacles, the physical limitations. And this is incredible description. You will see now how much it corresponds to all the vibe, all the energy of this very new moon. You know, let me share the screen with you. So so we can discuss, wait a sec. Yeah, Here you see the chart of the new moon on the 30th of May of 2022. And here they are, the sun and the moon, the luminaries at 9 degrees and 3 minutes of Gemini. Now, I use here Egyptian terms. That's another way to subdivide the zodiac sign into several sections, which are ruled by several planets. And in this case, the luminaries are ruled by Jupiter term. So we are already talking about some new phase in thinking, communicating, learning, studying, traveling, discovering new facts, and it's very optimistic, it's very expansive. We have faith, we are thirsty for knowledge. Let's see where Jupiter is. Currently Jupiter is in Aries, a very fiery sign, turned towards our own personal desires and passion and power. Plus Jupiter is conjunct Mars. Look at that. They were exactly conjuncting the day before on the 29th of May, but now still they are just a couple of minutes apart. So it's still a valid, strong conjunction, very powerful. There is like a huge wave of like believing in yourself, yeah, being self-reliant, being very optimistic, like behaving like a superhero, right? You have the power, you have the knowledge, you want to save the world. And this reminds me of these characters from the Marvel movies. Marvel, right? It's those that portray all the characters from the comics, and you have some guys which are very fast, then you have some guys which can transform, then you have some guys which are very muscly and strong, like Batman, right? Hitting people, spanking people and so on. But in this case, we're talking about some kind of a mega mind or mastermind, because the superhero in this case is has a super power of his thoughts and of his mind. And by the way, if we talk about such knowledge, then this knowledge must be very practical, because Aries has no patience to sit and listen to some theory for 2 hours, even though Gemini loves talking a lot and being lost in the conversation sometimes. But these two guys here, Jupiter and Aries, are about action and learning from experience. And also, if you are a teacher, because if Gemini is the archetype of the student, then Sagittarius and Jupiter are the archetype of the teacher, of the philosopher. But in this case, you teach through your own example. You act, you share your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience. This is the key word here, experience, and that's how learning comes. Now, the ruler of the luminaries in this moment is Mercury, and Mercury went retrograde on the 10th of May. Remember, I still have this video on my channel about Mercury retrograde. You might want to check it out. And first it was retrograding, of course, in Gemini, which means we were coming back to some old ideas, old plans, old sources of knowledge, maybe visiting some places we already know, some familiar neighborhoods, revisiting our old classmates, friends, siblings, possibly, right? But now Mercury in this very moment is retrograde in Taurus, and Taurus is about physical, tangible, earthly things like possessions, like food, like clothes, like furniture, body, and money, of course. So here we can say that this Mercury in Taurus is all about inventory control. So checking out your inventory. What do you possess? What do you own? What do you still want to buy? And of course, it's kind of like a financial audit. So you're reassessing your budget and your possessions. Now, Mercury itself, well, you can see that it's in Mars term. So again, we have this reference, Jupiter term, Mars term. So we are talking about impatience and actions. talk is cheap, as they say, right? You have to show and prove yourself mostly into the world what you mean and what you want. But at the same time, I'm checking the dwots. You don't see them portrayed on this chart, okay? But it's another way to divide the zodiac sign. Usually it's like each sign is divided into 2.5 degrees. So basically, the sun and moon are in the Virgo dwot, while Mercury is in Pisces dwot. So guess what? We are on same axis of serving, because while Virgo is very handy, very skilled, very organized, Virgo likes serving people, like being a nurse or being a social worker, just helping others physically, right? Well, Pisces also can be a wonderful nurse and doctor and so on, but sometimes it's classically, Pisces serves humanity through unconditional trust, faith, and love. It's like this Jesus Christ dying for people, right? This kind of sacrifice. And yeah, so when we talk about here, we want to serve people through knowledge. We want to teach, study. We are like superheroes with this huge, big brain, right? Like mastermind or mega mind. But at the same time, we do it not so much for ourselves or for our own glory, but we do it to serve humanity, to help others. And that's a great energy. I love it. Now, you can see that the luminaries, they don't have particularly any aspects at this moment, but Mercury does. Mercury, let's start. Well, first of all, you see it's retrograde, so it goes backwards, but only for 3 more days, okay? It will station on the 3rd of June, and you can check all my videos for each separate zodiac sign. There is like 20 minutes video for each of you guys, and in this video I'm talking about this moment of Mercury being stationed. It's not only the 3rd of June, it's going to be 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Yeah, give it like 3 days at least, because then the planet will be slowest and a bit confused. So mind you, Gemini and Virgos, you're ruled by Mercury, so you might feel a little bit dizzy, stuck, like miscommunication, misunderstandings, all right? But my point here is that Mercury goes, at least for now, still backwards very slowly. So it does make an applying at this moment, applying sextile to Neptune. It's not gonna happen at all, because Mercury will stop at 26 degrees or so, turn and go again forward. But still, the sextile is here, and Neptune gives our ideas this hope and faith and idealism. We can visualize, we can manifest, we can trust, we can hope. That's great, guys, really. Then Mercury has a trine to Pluto. It's ongoing trine, from my point of view, from the very moment Mercury went retrograde at 4 degrees of Gemini, if I'm not wrong. So it was a wide aspect, but still it was there. Now this aspect is also, well, in this case, it's kind of like separating, you see, but once Mercury goes again direct, it will reach again 28 degree of Taurus. So there will be again this beautiful trine with powerful Pluto. And of course, this gives very concentrated mind, very powerful, discerning thoughts. You can tell who is lying, who tells the truth. You can be very, how it's called, convincing, yes, very magnetic, very kind of, people will listen to you, follow your ideas. I mean, it's valid for all of us, right? But especially very mercurial people, Gemini, Virgo, and so on. So it's a great aspect, especially because Pluto is very focused. It's like a laser focus. So it can be great for financial or other sort of investigations, data research, and especially if we talk about planning a budget or planning some, I don't know, business schedules or something, because Pluto might give you this restlessness of the mind, but it's very, very productive and very powerful thoughts and words. And here, I think with this aspect, we are coming back to the Sabian symbolism. Remember that the thought can overcome any sort of physical limitations. This is the aspect of the power of mind. Plus, we are supported by faith as well. So this is wonderful. But you see, so far we have the impression that we will be very rushy, very like on adrenaline, because we have great ideas. We are so optimistic. We want to act and show the world what we really mean, right? This is wonderful, but be careful. Mercury is retrograde, so it's more about hatching, about planning, about going deep in research, about dreaming even. But there is a square to Saturn. It's kind of an applying square, but again, Mercury will not reach this degree of Saturn. So it's applying, but then it's going to go separating when Mercury will be like, shoo, like this coyote or one of the characters from the old animations for children. He will be running very fast, further and further from Saturn once it stations and turns direct. But the station moment is very close to the square to Saturn. And of course, square, you see this red line, it's intense, it's tension, it's discomfort, but it makes us act. But how act? Saturn, it's very patient, okay? You see both now, Mercury and Saturn are in fixed signs. That's how they make the square. When Mercury will be in Gemini, that's going to be multitasking, that's going to be chatty, travels, choices, very mutable, very flexible energy. But for now, Saturn wants us to focus on single idea, on single plan, and to be very serious about it. As if Saturn says, whoa, 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 hold the horses, guys, especially to these two superheroes here, Mars and Jupiter. So Saturn is a little bit like the party pooper in this case, in this chart, because as usually Saturn is like the voice of your parent, is like the voice of your inner critic. It's like, are you sure that your plan is good? Are you sure you're not over exaggerating? Are you sure that it's going to be beneficial, not only for you, right? Because here Mars and Jupiter in Aries is quite self-reliant, independent, egocentric, egotistical energy. I do whatever I want to do, right? Aries is like, I am. So whatever if I want something, I am this desire. So I will fulfill it, basically, right? It's like a little baby, because Aries corresponds to the first 18 months of the psychological and physical development of the human being. As we go in order, but Saturn is the parent, remember. So the parent exerts what? Control. So Saturn here is controlling the situation. He says that we should do everything reasonably. Really, he implies to the mercurial, practical reason, and step by step, brick by brick. Really gradually, he wants us to act and see the perspective. In Saturn, in Aquarius, is full of principles, okay? So he acts according to higher ideals and principles, according to visions about the future, but very wisely in the present. And he wants everything with a clear perspective and to create something solid and long-term. Besides, if Aries, yeah, it's about one individual, then Aquarius, it's about the group, the society, the friends, the club, the tribe, right? So we have to think about others as well. And I repeat myself again, that's good, because while Mercury is retrograde, it's really good for us to be more, to slow down really, and to be more careful, because it's easy to make mistakes here by this huge enthusiasm and desire just to act already, finally, right? So at the end of the day here, even though Saturn might give this a bit of a pessimistic vibe, coldness, too rational, too principles, but still it's fine to be cautious and careful here. Now, also what I want to mention is that eventually in 3 days, Mercury will station to go direct near the fixed star Algol. This star was activated heavily in November last year when we had the very first eclipse on the axis Taurus Scorpio. Then it was again active through transits of other planets and energies in February and March this year. So you all know what world events we turn to be in from that time, and most probably it was accumulating the tension since last November, is my guess. I wasn't so much following the world news back then, but still, of course, we all know that Algol has a bad reputation, right? We all know that whenever it's active on the sky, it most probably brings some disasters, horror, some violence, destruction, aggression, accidents, and there you go, even wars. Now, Arabic people called it the head of the ogre, the head of the monster. And from Greeks, we know that Algol belongs to the constellation of Perseus. Perseus was the hero who managed to kill Medusa. Medusa was the lady with snakes instead of hair, and she could petrify people, turn them into stones just by looking at them. And so Algol, if you look at the sky and you see this sky charts and sky maps, and of course you need quite some imagination, I think, to imagine that this splash of stars is like the hero Perseus, and he holds in his hand the head of Medusa. But nowadays they draw it to you, so you see it better. Because I think I wouldn't recognize even our familiar constellations, like Taurus doesn't look like a bull so much, if you ask me, but okay. So anyways, Algol is located in the head of Medusa, exactly. By the way, from Arabic language, Algol has the same root linguistically as alcohol, and it means bad spirit, bringing troubles. So by the way, Medusa, she was one of the three sisters, Gorgons. She was mortal, so it was possible for her to die. She was very beautiful woman, and unfortunately she was noticed by the gods, and more specifically by Poseidon or Neptune. He raped her, guys. He raped her in the temple of Athena, another goddess, Athena. And guess what? Instead of Athena coming and protecting Medusa or punishing Poseidon, she got mad at Medusa, maybe jealousy or something, right? And so Athena turned Medusa into this monster that we all know, ugly lady with snakes instead of hair, who you shall not look at her, because once you look at her, she turns you into a stone statue. Horrible, right? Horrible story. And in my opinion, then Medusa was even obviously double, triple the angry beast and monster, as they call her, because she was so hurt, and because it was like a vengeance for her from now on. So of course she was terrifying people. And so Perseus decided to find her and kill her. And guess who was the rat, kind of the informant, or the god who was sharing with Perseus where to go, where to find Medusa, how to fight her, and so on? That was the messenger of the god Mercury. So if you ask me, I think Algol and Mercury are not pretty combination, because they kind of historically would not like each other at the very least. So finally, Perseus manages to kill Medusa, cut off her head. By the way, then Athena puts her head onto her shield. So even after her death, Medusa is used by others, because when she's dying, her blood spills around, and from her blood is created Pegasus, this beautiful flying horse, right? It's a beautiful creation, Pegasus. Magical one. And also the blood drops of Medusa that fell into sea and oceans, they created corals. And corals are something we need to breathe, right? Because they produce oxygen. So we protect them now, because they're dying out and disappearing. So I don't know why, but again, I'm thinking about this axis of serving humanity, serving people. Even Medusa, after being wronged and abused and raped and so on, even after her death, she kept helping the earth, let's say so. Right, so that was the story I decided just to share with you about Algol, since it will be again activated Right. And so, oh, by the way, there are a couple of examples in world history that whenever there is a prominent Mercury, like prominent in this case is because he will be stationing to turn direction of movement. And when it happens with Algol, then we have examples of genetic discoveries in the world. So I'm pretty curious. Let's see if this time we will hear something about genes or genetics. Maybe it's because at the end of the day, Medusa was like a monster and some kind of, again, referring to the comics superheroes, they or like Ninja Turtles, you know, they usually fought some genetically modified creatures. Sometimes they were heroes like Spider-Man and Ninja Turtles, right? And sometimes they were the monsters. But it's usually about genetics. So dear friends, let's talk now about separate zodiac signs, what this new moon will bring to you. Again, for me, it's way lighter than an eclipse. So it's not, maybe it's not going to be for many of you something super mega prominent, but it's still interesting to have a sneak peek about the upcoming events. You can listen the information for your rising sign, because that's how I base my forecasts, but also don't miss the sun sign and the moon sign for like a better, more complete, holistic overview, right, of the energies of this astrological event. So we start with Aries. For you guys, this new moon happens in your 3rd house. So of course you can expect some news, new information, a lot of activity in social media, possibly new pages you visit, new groups you join, new education, you might join courses, some news about your vehicle or traveling to some new places, but it's all connected to retrograde Mercury in your 2nd house. So maybe you will be researching products to buy. It's a good idea while it's retrograde. Don't jump into impulsive shopping. Maybe you're researching financial markets or job hunting, because 2nd house is how we earn money. And of course, what do we spend them for? You might do research or join groups of people who talk about self-esteem, about values, possibly your own values, and about your body. 2nd house is how do we feed, right, nurture ourselves. So maybe this information you're looking for, or the places where you will be traveling, is for some fitness or some new diet for your body. Dear Taurus, for you this eclipse, sorry, not eclipse, this new moon happens in your 2nd house. So of course, either new job possibilities, new profession, new ways to make money, new things you would like to spend your money for, but don't be very impulsive really, because Mercury is still retrograde. You might research what do you want to spend your money for. And Mercury is retrograding still in your 1st house. So we are talking about your appearance, about your look, about how you behave and communicate with others, about your body and health. So you might be spending money for diets, exercises, or for some new hair look, clothes, jewels, perfumes, right? Something to spoil yourself with. And it's a good idea. I think after this eclipse season, we all deserve a little bit of, you know, kind of petting and spoiling ourselves for like, good job, good, you hold on. And yeah, last but not least, 2nd house and 1st house can talk about your own value. How do you value yourself in relationships, right? So your sense of self-esteem while you are interacting with other people, you might want to work on that. Dear Gemini, for you, this new moon happens in your 1st house. So that's great. It's like green lights of the traffic lights for you, for all, whatever you wish for, all new initiations, projects, relationships, you can start it. Universe supports you. But you see, Mercury is your ruler and he's still retrograde. So I would leave the new things, the action, to come already after the 4th, 5th of June. You can check the video about Mercury retrograde. You can check the video about your zodiac sign on my channel, the forecast for June. Mercury retrogrades currently in your 12th house. So while there is a chance to start something new, first you have to look back and finish whatever is unfinished in the past. And it might be a relationship. It might be that you need to relocate somewhere, collect the documents, cease the bad habit, quit smoking, quit self-pity. It might be emotional, it might be psychological, it might be physical, really. It might be stop holding grudges, let go of pain, of offenses, and so on. So you have to clear and cleanse yourself, and then it's going to be wonderful for new beginnings in your life. Dear Cancer, for you, this new moon happens in your 12th house. I usually call this combination as the beginning of the end, because with 12th house, we are wrapping up things, we're letting go, we're releasing, we're cleansing ourselves. So you can start a diet, you can start a work with a therapist, you can start spiritual practices, anything which helps when you're meditating or when you're in isolation. Maybe you're starting some health examinations in a hospital. But it's about releasing everything that it's a burden for you. And Mercury is retrograde in your 11th house, so it might be something connected to how do you connect to people, how do you make friends. Mercury retrograde means that some people from the past can come back to you, or you rejoin your groups of interest, your hobbies with other people, clubs, organizations. You might try once again to open some online business, become popular. 11th house is also about our hopes, dreams, wishes. So with Mercury retrograde, either you're closing some old goals that no longer interest you anymore, really. Maybe you're changing, you're shedding skin with this 12th house eclipse. You're preparing for upcoming birthdays and new period in your life. And at the same time, maybe it's time to set up new goals, build new dreams, new vision for your future. Also, we might talk about something related to foreign lands, abroad, maybe friends who are foreigners you will meet, or friends who are interested in psychology or esoterics. Dear Leos, for you, this eclipse happens in your 11th house. So great chance to open online business, to become popular, to meet people, to make new friends, to join groups of like-minded people, find your tribe, maybe international organizations. Mercury is retrograde in your 10th house. Mercury wants you to focus on your career, on your mission in life, what you want to leave as a legacy after you. It's very serious thinking. It's not just work for just some money. It's really like your profession, your what you are good at. And maybe you have to come back to some old ideas about work. Maybe you have to finish something at work to move forward with your dreams, because 11th house is also our hopes, wishes, goals. So you might set up new visions, new goals to achieve once you quit your old job or you become a freelancer. Maybe some old status you are revisiting with this Mercury retrograde, you know, possibly you go back to the country that you used to work and live, or you are remarrying the same person you divorced already once, or you get back to your old partner or your old boss, or you might revisit your parents as well, actually. Yeah. Dear Virgo, for you, this new moon happens in your 10th house, so you have great chances for new career possibilities, promotions, growth, change of job, change of status. So new moon in 10th house can bring you an engagement, a wedding, a divorce, freedom, new car, new property, new country to live in. So it's really nice energy to anticipate. At the same time, Mercury is retrograde in your 9th house. Seems like you still have to reassess your way of thinking, your way of worldview and moral code, faith, belief system overall. Maybe you need to finish first some studies, some education, graduate, receive your diploma, certificate in order to present yourself on an interview or, you know, apply for a better job, for example. Maybe you have to finish a law court, and in this case, your status will change if you do all the paperwork and you finally divorce, or you finally collect documents for wedding, marriage, or for relocation. Dear Libras, for you, this new moon happens in your 9th house. So we're talking about new possibilities to travel, to expand your consciousness, your knowledge, to meet people from different cultures, to meet teachers, gurus, celebrities, to become one such, to publish, to become popular. Change your worldview overall. And at the same time, Mercury is retrograde in your 8th house of your inner emotions, your trust issues. How do you bond with the world, with others? How do you create these intimate relationships? Maybe it's something about your view on having children. So Mercury will reassess, re-examine those topics. Maybe you need to cleanse, let go of internal stuck emotions, fears in order to travel, in order to publish, in order to become popular. First deal with your inner demons, you know. Also, you might need to reassess your budget, and more specifically the passive incomes and shared resources. So maybe you go back with your partner, husband, and you start again living together, and they help you with their salaries, or you resign the loan conditions or credit conditions from the bank. Now it's a good time. Or you remember that you owe someone, like, you know, an institution or a bank, and you pay back now the money. At the same time, maybe you are taking a loan because you want to travel, to study, or to open up your own business. Dear Scorpio, for you, this new moon happens in your 8th house. Very familiar energies because you rule traditionally 8th house. It is about psychology, esoteric. So you might be interested in astrology, in tarot, and so on. You might start working with a psychologist. Also, 8th house is about new relationships, intimate relationships, maybe close business partners, something that gives you shared resources, maybe shared household, shared office. Maybe it's about support from the bank with money to your business. It might be a support really from partners because Mercury is retrograde in your 7th house. So we're talking here about people from the past coming back to you. It might be an advisor, consultant, your own ex, or it might be that you need to re-sign some contracts, strike a better deal maybe, right? It's better to do it though after Mercury goes direct again. So you might want to check the videos for you, Scorpios, for June, my June forecast, or the retrograde Mercury video for everyone. Yeah, so maybe old clients, maybe you are a therapist, maybe you are the consultant, and happy clients come back to you once again. Dear Sagittarius, for you, this new moon happens in your 7th house of partnerships and relationships. So chances to start a new relationship, find the second half of you, better half, or refresh the existing already relationship, or there is some upgrade of status, for instance, like with engagement or marriage. Maybe it's, of course, finding more and new clients for your work. If you work as a consultant, for instance, Mercury is retrograde in your 6th house. It's definitely returning you back to some old work projects, colleagues, employees, office. Maybe you need to finish something there before going, let's say, freelancing. Maybe you need to remember and get back and take some useful skills that you used to acquire at work. At the same time, 6th house is also about health. So you might want to repeat some health program, diet, something that worked already in the past or didn't work, but you didn't have the patience to finish it. So now it's your chance to finish it, really. It might be like a, as we said, work project with clients. Or it can be something with health. You might meet some new trainer, new coach, dietitian, doctor, who will help you with this. diets. And maybe you're finishing finally some burdensome responsibilities in your life. Sixth house is Virgo energy, it's serving, helping others, clearing your karma through some duties. Maybe you finish home repairment now, right? But maybe some people like partners will help you in that. Dear Capricorn, for you, this new moon happens in your sixth house. So we talk about new period, new possibilities for work, maybe new colleagues, a new office, new project, but also it might be some news related to your health, or you want to do some health examinations, or you find a new doctor or a new system, exercises, diet. So it's great to try something of that. Also, some new responsibilities might come into your life. Maybe you have a child, maybe you take a pet. Sixth house is our pets, and that's beautiful and pleasant, but also it adds some responsibilities to your daily life. Look, at the same time, it might be about children, really, because Mercury is retrograde in your fifth house. So either your kids who live abroad now come to visit you again, and you have this pleasant duties to kind of take care of the household and of them for some weeks, or you come back to the idea of having children. Fifth house is also about lovers and romantic relationships. So maybe someone from the past is coming back on your horizon, on your radar, some old love. Maybe you're returning back to some old hobby, something that you were truly passionate about, but maybe you quit it because you didn't have time for it. Well, now Mercury is like pulling you back and saying, hey, remember this, you used to like it, maybe you want to develop it, or maybe you need to finish some business project. Fifth house is about our business, so sixth, fifth house could be some returning back and renewing some business projects. Dear Aquarius, for you, this new moon happens in your fifth house. So we talk about news from or about children, new love affairs are possible, new hobbies, passion, inspiration. That's great location for such a new moon for you. And Mercury retrogrades in your fourth house. So it might be something related to home design. Maybe you are finishing some reconstruction at home. Or design project. Maybe you're helping your parents, your family. Maybe there are children in the family that need now like attention, you know. Maybe you are relocating with or to your parents, or with your child, or with your partner. You're now deciding to live together, or you're presenting your partner to your parents, something among those lines. Dear Pisces, for you, this new moon happens in your fourth house. So we're talking about new beginnings for your parents at home, maybe new family member, maybe new pet, maybe some new decoration or design for your place of living, new roommates. Maybe you buy yourself new property, congratulations. At the same time, Mercury retrogrades in the third house. So it's still not the best time for deals. Wait for Mercury to go direct. You can watch my video about Mercury retrograde on my channel, or of course, do watch a video that I recorded especially for Pisces for June. It's like a monthly forecast. But yeah, Mercury retrograde in third house, it might be reunion with brothers, sisters, neighbors from the past. Maybe you're revisiting your old home, your old neighborhood, meeting these people. Maybe you're selling your car. The third house could be about deals, yeah, selling, buying. So maybe you're re-evaluating the conditions of the deal, and you do good, really, because despite the new moon in fourth house, wait for Mercury to go because Mercury rules this new moon, right? So we need the ruler to be in fit conditions to do the best decision for travels, relocations. It's good though, it's good to travel to some places you have been already, so they're familiar for you. All right, so that was the analysis and description and forecast regarding the new moon in 9 degrees of Gemini. I wish you everyone a great end of May, beginning of June, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.